Canada is rewriting the rules of its global alliances, from rejecting U.S. annexation talks to reconsidering a $19 billion fighter jet deal. Prime Minister Mark Carney is steering the nation toward a bold new era of independence. Is this the end of the U.S.-Canada partnership as we know it? Dive into the seismic shifts reshaping Canada's future on the world stage. Mark Carney's vision is bold and assertive, redefining Canada's identity on the global stage. On Friday, March 14th, Canada marked the beginning of a new chapter as Mark Carney was officially sworn in as Prime Minister, succeeding Justin Trudeau after nearly a decade of leadership. In his inaugural speech, Carney wasted no time diving headfirst into one of the most controversial and pressing topics of recent times: Canada's relationship with its southern neighbor, the United States. Without ambiguity, Carney emphatically dismissed the idea of Canada ever considering annexation by the United States, a notion floated recently by U.S. Senator Marco Rubio, who suggested that Canada could fare better economically as the 51st state of America. Referring to this proposal as crazy and absurd, Carney delivered a resounding rejection. His words rang clear: America is not Canada, and Canada will never ever, in any way, shape, or form, become part of the United States. Carney drew a sharp contrast between the two nations, emphasizing Canada's unique identity, values, and priorities. While he expressed optimism about future collaboration with the Trump administration, Carney didn't hesitate to call out Donald Trump, labeling the U.S. president a direct threat to Canadian families, workers, and businesses. They covet our resources, our water, our land, our nation, Carney warned. If they were to succeed, they would obliterate our way of life. As these tensions simmered, Canada's Ministry of Defense dropped another bombshell, a shocking announcement that demonstrated the deepening rift between the two countries. Defense Minister Bill Blair revealed late Friday that Canada was reconsidering a contract for 88 American-built F-35 fighter jets, a deal valued at $19 billion and signed with Lockheed Martin less than a year ago. Blair confirmed that while Canada had already committed funds for the first 16 F-35 jets set for delivery next year, discussions were underway about whether the remainder of the fleet should include aircraft from rival manufacturers, especially European ones. This revelation comes amid a growing wave of uncertainty surrounding the F-35 program among U.S. allies, highlighted by Portugal's recent decision to abandon plans to purchase the American fighter jets. Portuguese Defense Minister Nuno Melo cited concerns over Trump's unpredictable foreign policy as a major factor, warning that reliance on the U.S. could jeopardize operational autonomy. The recent stance of the United States within NATO forces us to think carefully about our defense procurement strategies, Melo stated. This decision has now raised significant questions about whether other NATO nations might follow suit in rethinking their reliance on American-made military assets. Canada's defense strategy, though bold, is not without challenges. With delivery of the first batch of F-35s imminent, the government is faced with the tough decision of whether to press forward with the existing contract or pivot toward European alternatives like the Saab Gripen, a Swedish-built fighter known for its affordability, versatility, and suitability for Arctic conditions. Saab's latest iteration, the Gripen E, has impressive specifications, including a top speed of Mach 2, a ferry range of 3,200 kilometers, and strong compatibility with both Canadian operational needs and U.S. military systems. However, the contract with Lockheed Martin, finalized in January of 2023, had seemingly closed the door on such alternatives until now. Defense Minister Blair's statements reflect a broader shift in Canada's posture as geopolitical tensions rise. The ongoing tariff disputes with the Trump administration have already placed significant strain on economic relations. But Carney's government is now signaling that Canada is willing to re-examine military agreements if they compromise Canadian interests. For many, this represents a significant pivot, not just for defense procurement, but for Canada's overall strategic alignment. The considerations extend beyond fighter jets. Canada recently committed billions toward acquiring Boeing P-8 Poseidon naval patrol planes and MQ-9B Sky Guardian drones as part of a broader modernization strategy. These investments not only aim to bolster Canada's aerial and maritime surveillance capabilities, but also underscore the government's commitment to diversifying its military partnerships beyond a singular U.S. dependence. But why does this shift matter so profoundly now? To understand, we must zoom out to the global stage, where turbulence in defense relations is rippling far beyond North America. Across the Atlantic, European allies have been ramping up defense investments, driven by a collective ambition to achieve strategic autonomy amid growing uncertainty in U.S. policy commitments. Between 2021 and 2024, defense spending by EU member states surged by over 30%, reaching $326 billion, a trend that reflects both heightened security concerns and frustration over dependency on American military technology. This significant surge in defense spending underscores a regional shift towards self-reliance and a strategic reorientation in response to global uncertainties. The extent of this ambition is embodied in the European Commission's new Rearm Europe initiative, unveiled in March 2025. This landmark plan calls for $800 billion enhanced defense spending, including measures to cut regulatory constraints, finance joint projects, and support indigenous military manufacturing capabilities. While production bottlenecks remain a significant hurdle, Europe's push for self-reliance underlines a broader shift toward diversifying global defense alliances. For Canada, the growing alignment with European defense ecosystems represents not just a tactical choice, but a recognition of changing global dynamics. Mark Carney's leadership has emerged at a critical point, offering Canada an opportunity to reposition itself as a more independent player on the world stage. By pulling away from exclusive reliance on the United States for military alliances, Canada is also crafting a narrative of strategic resilience. All the while, the Canadian defense industry remains a vital cornerstone of this evolving strategy. Employing over 64,000 people and generating $10 billion annually, the sector is tightly integrated with domestic innovation and manufacturing. Companies like General Dynamics, CAE Inc., and Magellan Aerospace play key roles in sustaining Canada's operational readiness while stimulating homegrown economic growth. As Canada looks to deepen its trade and defense relationships with European nations, the implications for U.S.-Canadian relations loom large. Once one of the world's closest alliances, the current strain on the partnership raises difficult questions about the sustainability of bilateral agreements in an era defined by shifting allegiances and geopolitical rivalries. Ultimately, Mark Carney's first weeks in office signal a bold departure from the status quo. His sharp critiques of U.S. policy and willingness to reassess decades of military dependency underscore an assertive vision for Canada's future. Yet this path won't be without contention. For now, the world watches as Canada's next chapter unfolds, one defined by resilience, independence, and perhaps the most profound redefinition of its identity on the global stage in decades. What are your thoughts on this dramatic shift in Canada's geopolitical stance? Let us know in the comments. And thank you for tuning in today. Your engagement means the world to us. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and explore more of our content as we dive into the stories shaping our world. Until next time, stay informed and stay inspired.